It's the Skol Report with your host, the commish, Ryan Swenson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Skol Report. It is your commissioner, Ryan. Excited to be here. So it's been a while since I had a new episode, and I'm sorry about that. Life just happens. But we've got a lot to talk about. A lot has happened this season. We are 5 weeks through, ready for week 6 to start, and it feels like a lot has happened. But also it feels like there's still so much season to go, and there's still going to be a lot of questions as we go. Well, let's just dive right in. First thing to talk about, the most obvious thing, is COVID and how it's impacted our league. I think everybody has been pretty great about kind of rolling with the punches. This is going to be, there's going to be more of this, and there's going to be more questions, and there's probably going to be more on the fly decisions, maybe even more on the fly votes for things when it's a real tough matter. And that's just how it's going to have to be. But I think we're playing it pretty good so far. We decided to keep the COVID or the IR list only for the COVID players, like we decided at the beginning of the year. So, Kyle has been able to take advantage of that with Cam Newton. He was able to put Cam Newton, not take advantage of it. You lose a player, but you don't have to drop somebody, or you don't have to drop him. You can just put him on the IR. John, I think, had Corey Davis, who was on the COVID list for a moment, and I think he just dropped him. So it hasn't really had a huge impact as far as the usage of the IR in our league, but the delaying of games has been something that was really interesting. And, it was unique to me in that I can't remember the last time we had to bring something up mid-season to a vote, because I had heard from, multiple people that they felt, that this might be the way a rule should go. And we hadn't really discussed that in full. So it was unique, but also I'm glad that, everybody just kind of rolled with it. The backup players has been working pretty well. I feel like it hasn't had to be used yet, which that's great. But I don't think it's been hard to implement. Everybody has been telling me who their backup players would be, and we'll keep doing that going forward for games that get, pushed back to a Monday or a Tuesday or something. But if there's questions about a game going into Sunday and they're supposed to play, but the NFL is still saying that the game is going on, then we're not going to do backups for those types of situations, because it's Sunday. And, if the game plays, then it plays. If it doesn't play, then we'll worry about the backup situation. So Sunday mornings are going to be more interesting this year. You kind of have to get up in the morning and turn on the pregame show and pay attention to your fantasy team a little bit more this year than you would in previous years, because you're not just checking last minute injury updates anymore. You're checking, are my players' games all actually being played? And if they aren't, are they being postponed? Are they being pushed back to Tuesday? Like we have to play what the NFL is doing. Yahoo can't just make up rules that the NFL hasn't even decided yet. So I hope that we don't get in situations where Sunday morning we're having to figure stuff out last minute. But the backup situation's been great, and we'll keep doing that going forward. And if anything else crazy that comes up, if you got a concern, let me know. And if multiple people have concerns about it, then we can bring it up to a league vote. And yeah, that's just kind of how things, will typically be. In the off season, John and Al and I can make tweaks and changes to the league, although we never do and probably never will. But Certain things might be brought up to a vote, and that's totally cool. So always voice your concern. If you liked the idea of IR this year and you feel strongly that we should have an IR spot for players next year, for injury, let me know. And if multiple people feel that way, then we can bring that up to a vote. That's something that isn't like league shaking. Adding roster positions or changing roster positions, that's probably something that we as the, owners and commissioners of the league would probably say, no, that we set up this league up the way we like it. And that's the way we want it. But adding an IR spot could be something that we discuss as a league-wide issue. So anyway, just the idea of keeping an open mind and always coming to me with ideas and issues you might have. So yeah, that's kind of my brief recap on COVID. Hopefully it doesn't destroy things too much. It hasn't ruined any seasons yet, I don't think, because no games have been canceled. But Kyle had to definitely maneuver through Cam Newton, and we'll see how it shakes out. But through 5 weeks, okay. Some other things that I just kind of wanted to talk about. Basically, this is just kind of this isn't gonna be like a recap show of last week or like a look ahead at the week 6 matchups. This is just gonna kind of be like a recap show of kind of what we missed during the past many weeks. And so I just want to talk about Stacy's big week 4. She got the 8th best week of all time in Scully's 2 history, with 200 points. And it was an amazing week because there were players in her lineup that I wouldn't have expected to contribute the way they did, like Latavius Murray and Traquan Smith and Jerry Jeudy. This was the week that Jerry Jeudy kind of had his coming out party. In week 4, he had 61 yards and a touchdown on a big long catch.
Penalty moves the ball into Jets territory. Rippon's going to air it out downfield. One-on-one coverage, and this one is caught. And backing into the end zone is Jerry Jeudy with his first touchdown catch in his rookie season.
And Latavius Murray had 20 points. There were 20-point performances all over. George Kittle, DJ Chark, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Allen Robinson had 17. Traquan Smith had 17. It was wild. A great performance. I was just watching. I kept refreshing the scores on Stacy's because I was just so intrigued by it. How high is it going to get? Is it going to keep climbing? So that was awesome. And the same week, Ryan Jensen had, I think, 188 points, which didn't put him, in the top as far as, historical scoring week goes. But really, a team scoring 188 and another team scoring 200 in the same week, that was incredible. Could you imagine if they had been facing each other and Ryan Jensen would have picked up a loss scoring 188 points? That I don't keep track of that kind of stuff, but that most likely would have been a record-setting loss if that had happened. Good thing it didn't. Shifting over to total points for the year so far, a lot of points have been scored. I am on top of the scoring list, so I like talking about that. Yeah, 771 points. And there's kind of a few tiers, basically. It's like 60-point drop-offs, and there's a couple of tiers right now. So I'm kind of at the top tier, and then there's about a 60-point drop-off, and there is a clump of people that are within 60 points of each other. Jensen is the number 2 team in scoring right now with 715. Kyle has 710 points through 5 weeks. And then number 4, a little surprising, Jason, 674 points. And Becca, 662 points. And then there's another group that's got the next 60 points below that. So kind of 660 to 600. There's a group of teams there. That's everybody else that I didn't mention. And then Rudy is kind of way at the bottom by himself, 60 points below 11th place. with 504 through 5 weeks. So man, Rudy's only averaging about 100 points per week. I'm going to look at the least points in a season, and that would be the number 2 worst season of all time in Scully's history right now if the season ended. It wouldn't touch Jason's 2017 season though, when he only averaged 89 points a game. Oh, that year was brutal for Jason, I remember. But yeah, it would definitely put him at number 2. So Rudy doesn't want to do that. I know he's a good fantasy player, and he's competitive every year and has always been, really good in this league. So I expect him to kind of keep clawing back, and he'll find players to pick up, and things will start to, injuries have really taken a toll on his team, and it's just been really bad for Rudy this year. But I don't think he'll stay at the very bottom of the league in scoring the whole season. We'll see. Another thing to recap, there's been a couple of trades in the league. I always encourage trades. I'm super excited when trades happen. And there's been 2 so far through 5 weeks. That's pretty good. I think that there was a couple of seasons that we had like 1 or 2 or none. So 2 through 5 is great. If you're unhappy with your team, look for ways to better it. And it's hard to do that on the free agent wire sometimes. Sometimes you can find a guy who ends up being a great contributor, but other times it's, you spend 36 fab on a guy like D. Ernest Johnson and it turns into nothing. So you might want to start looking around, what strengths do other teams have? Is that a position I'm really weak at? And can I make something happen? You don't have to make trades, obviously. I just always encourage it because it's fun and exciting, and it's, mixes things up in the league. John and Al made a trade, and I think in the moment, Al probably felt really down about it. There have been some gamesmanship moves made this year that have really spiced things up as well. And one of them was Ryan Jensen picked up Nick Mullins after Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Oh, snap! And so Al wasn't able to pick him up. And Al needed another quarterback. He didn't want to go into the week with only one quarterback. And there was nobody on the free agent wire other than Nick Mullins who he would have picked up. So he was just going to roll with one quarterback and ended up making a big trade. Traded Jimmy G, who just got hurt, but who had been a solid performer, looking like he's going to be a good, a good starting quarterback, and traded him for Justin Herbert, who was a little unproven. He had just taken over the job, and Justin Herbert has just gone off. He looks like one of the next big young quarterbacks. He's got a huge arm. Decision making was always the big knock on him, but so far it hasn't really looked like it's been too much of a problem because he's just been able to kind of air the ball out to his guys, and they make catches for him.
12 seconds left in the third. Stack the receivers. Herbert a deep drop off his back foot, puts it out there. It's caught, and he's gone. Jalen Guyton to the house. Touchdown. Chargers, 72 yards.
I guess maybe he's the type of player where it could all come crashing down and he could have a really bad week, but he's been an instant awesome contributor for Al, and John got Jimmy G out of it. And he was really excited at the time. He had just spent a lot of fab on Justin Herbert after his kind of, rookie first performance. And he was like, well, I spent a lot of fab on him, but I turned him into Jimmy G, who Al was, he wasn't going to drop Jimmy G. I was never going to get him. So I kind of bought Jimmy G, and I feel good about that because he's going to be great. And the injury lingered a little bit, and then he came back and he did not look like himself, and he's not ready to fully come back yet, I don't think now. And I think John's kind of starting to sweat that trade a little bit. It's still early. Jimmy G could still come back and be a solid contributor for the rest of the year. But for now, it's looking like Al really won that trade. The other trade that was just made, very fresh, between me and Ryan Jensen. We're the top 2 teams in the league, and we're both ready to make a trade. This was an interesting move because when I saw the offer, I thought, okay, that's a really good offer for me. That's him saying, hey, I really want that player of yours. I'm willing to give you really good value. And then I looked at it a little bit deeper, and I kind of realized where he was coming from, and it made it make even more sense. Ryan Jensen has a solid team right now. I'm going to pull up his roster really quick. His bench right now is full of guys like Dalvin Cook, Derek Carr, who's his third quarterback, and that quarterback is so valuable, especially when both of his quarterbacks are going to be on bye in week 9. Deebo Samuel, Damian Harris, and Cam Akers. Those are all guys that it would be so hard to drop one of those guys right now because they're all players that could blow up at any time. And so Darren Waller was on bye, and it was like, drop somebody that I don't really feel that comfortable dropping and pick up a crummy tight end, or try to make a trade and upgrade myself at the position with one of my, abundance of wide receivers that I currently have. Because Deebo Samuel coming back really kind of strengthened his wide receiving core. So he took one of his wide receivers, Robbie Anderson, and his tight end, who was on bye, Darren Waller, and turned him into Mark Andrews, who's not on bye and who was instantly in his lineup and projecting him to get a win now instead of a loss against Rudy. So it's a move for now, but also a move for long-term, because I know Ryan feels like he upgraded at the tight end position. Whereas I feel like Mark Andrews to Darren Waller, to me, was more of a lateral move. It meant that I had to drop somebody because it was a 2-for-1 trade. And it meant that I had to drop somebody to pick up a tight end to play. So I had to drop 2 players in order to pull this trade off. That really sucked. I just spent a lot of fab on Tua, and I just had to drop him because he's not the starter yet, and I needed to drop somebody. And then I just also had to drop Alex Smith. And I hate that because what a great story Alex Smith is. I feel like he's going to be the starter by 2 weeks from now at the most.
Amputation at one point was a possibility, and now 693 days later, here he is coming back on an NFL football field.
And there's Kyle Allen heading into the locker room. And August 29th, during training camp, was the first time that Alex Smith had gotten back into an 11-on-11 situation.
But them's the games you play. So that's what happened. To me, trades are awesome. They're exciting. They can always come back and bite you. So I think that's why a lot of people don't like to pull the trigger, but sometimes they don't bite you. Sometimes they make your team better. So just wanted to recap the trades. And then now I just kind of wanted to shift over to the overall standings. How would things shake out right now if the season ended? If the season ended right now, the playoffs would look like this. I'm the number 1 seed. I'm the only undefeated team right now. I'm 5-0. Number 2, 4-1, Ryan Jensen. Let Dabadi sit LaFleur. Number 3 seed is Kyle. So there's kind of a top 3 right now. We're all 4-1 or 5-0, the 3 of us, and we all have a lot of points, 700 or more. After that, everybody's 3-2 or 1-4. There's nobody in the league right now that's 0-5. There's no winless teams. So as I get down this, you'll see there's a playoff team right now, if the season ended, that's 2-3. So every person in the league right now is 1 game out of the playoffs. So like I said at the beginning, it feels like so much has happened this season, but also there's still so much more to go. Everybody is just like the worst team in the league is one game out of the playoffs. So there's still so much that can happen. And that just really, really excites me. Getting back into kind of the playoff picture, Kyle would be playing Becca. Becca is that 2-3 team right now that if the season were to end today, she would be in the playoffs. And the other matchup in the first week of the playoffs would be Jason making his return to the playoffs after a number of years out versus John. John has been a consistent playoff performer. I believe he has 6 playoff performances in our 8 years, or 5 playoff performances in our 8 years, and like 3 in a row. So that would be no surprise. The consolation bracket would be looking like this. Samantha and Baker would be the 2 teams with buys. They're both 2-3. And then playing in the quarterfinals, the losers of these games would then go on to play in the Lutefisk game. It would be Corey versus Rudy. Corey's 1-4. Rudy is 2-3. So 2-3 gets you playing in the Lutefisk games, but it also gets you in the playoffs. So this season's wide open. It's still so early. The other game would be Al versus Stacy. The loser of that game going on to play the Lutefisk. That would be pretty fun. So that's if the playoffs ended today. Kind of a 1-12 situation. Corey is that 12 team right now at the bottom of the league. And him and Stacy and Al all have the 1-4 records. But Corey has fewer points than any of them. So that can all change really quick. 2 weeks could change somebody's fortune right now. I'm just trying to keep plugging along and just get as many wins as possible and stay undefeated. And I think I can get to that 8 or 9 win mark and I can start to relax a little bit and not have to worry so much. But right now I'm just trying to get a win each week. Let's shift over really quick to the Pick'em pool. I haven't talked about the Pick'em pool much, like in the Facebook group or in the chat or anything, but it's been pretty spicy this year. A lot of close matchups every week, and the overall rankings are really close still right now. Only 11 games separate first from 12th. Everybody is getting their picks in on time, so everybody is staying pretty close to each other through the week 5 rankings, and it's exciting. I'm currently in a tie for 6th place with 5 people. There are 5 people tied at 49 and 27. There's 2 people tied just 3 games below that at 46 and 30, Baker and Corey. Oh, Corey's in last place in the league and in the Pick'em pool right now. Corey, you're going to get out of it, buddy. I can feel it. Just keep making your picks. Trust your gut. At the top, it should come as no surprise. It's the Pick'em King, Ryan Jensen.
I am the king.
He has 57 wins. His record is 57-19 right now. And he's won 2 weeks. He has $10 in his bank. That's to go with Jason, Stacy, and Al, who each have a win this year. And they each have $5 in their bank. So Jensen's at the top with 57 wins. And then Samantha and Stacy are tied, just 2 picks behind at 55. Rudy and Becca are then tied 1 pick behind at 54. So the top 5 are separated by only 3 picks right now this year. This is going to be really interesting. Rudy's been at the top. Stacy's been at the top. Jensen's been at the top. Becca and Samantha, this would be kind of a first real breakout performance in the Pick'em pool for them. So whatever you guys are doing, if you're taking a pro's advice, or if you're trusting your gut, or if you're picking by some random pattern, keep doing what you're doing because it's working and you guys are all in the top 5. So that's a little recap on the Pick'em pool. And something else I always like to look at is, because I'm always a big stats nerd, is what players are doing the best at their positions so far through the year. So we've played 5 weeks, and man, we've got some massive scorers, and they're all at the quarterback position. It should come as no surprise. In a lot of other years, we've had a couple players, Christian McCaffrey last year, Todd Gurley a few years ago, that are at other positions that rise up and kind of score with those top quarterbacks. But this year, the quarterbacks have just dominated. The top 5 quarterbacks this year right now, number 1, let's do this backwards. Number 5, Kyler Murray. Rudy's boys, Kyler Murray, 139 points so far through 5 weeks. That's incredible. It's just under 30 points a game, and he couldn't have asked for more. But when he drafted Kyler's the number 5 quarterback, and I think he was drafted. Shoot, I don't have that list up right now. That would have been good to have up. If I can find it fast enough, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll stop. I'm sorry. I can't find it fast enough. I'm gonna have to do some editing. No, I'm not gonna do editing. You're just gonna have to watch that. I'm sorry. There's a big gap of me trying to find our draft board, and I was struggling. Oh wait, it's right there. There it is. Sorry, guys. Kyler Murray was Rudy's 3rd round pick. He was the 7th quarterback off the board. So QB5, hey man, you draft a quarterback at 7, he's 5. That's great. You just don't want it to go down. Number 4 quarterback in the league, Josh Allen. I got some flack from some people for taking Josh Allen in the 3rd round, and look at me now. It's working out okay. He's the number 4 quarterback, 151 points, so it's 30 points a week. Loving that. His rushing numbers have been great. 3 rushing touchdowns. Kyler Murray, I should just talk about his rushing yards really quick. 296 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns through 5 weeks. That's like a good running back.
End, who was shaken up a little while ago. On 1st and goal from the 1, here is Murray trying to deke the defender, and he does. Touchdown by Murray, and what a dance he put on to get into the end zone.
That's 60 yards a game and a touchdown a game. It's 12 yards per game from rushing stats. Wow. So Josh Allen's number 4. Patrick Mahomes, number 3, 151 points as well. So him and Josh Allen scoring the same amount of points. He's been the anchor for Stacy's team. Yeah, her number 1 pick, the number 2 pick overall, and just looking like Mahomes, man. Doing Mahomes things.
You tell me. They're all up around the line of scrimmage. Only 4 in the end. They disguise it. And Mahomes looking to escape. Throwing on the run. Slings it to Hardman. And he's able to pick it up just like that.
The number 2 quarterback. Oh, man, it's sad because, wow, what a year he was having. Even getting hurt last week and missing part of that game. 157 points from Dak Prescott. John, man, let's talk about John's team really quick. John's team took a big hit over the past week. So he loses Dak Prescott, his kind of star player on his team in Sunday's game. And then Melvin Gordon gets arrested for DUI and is, being sent home from team practice with an illness and all this stuff. And then the Chiefs sign Le'Veon Bell. So maybe not as excited about making Clyde Edwards-Helaire their bell cow as we all thought they were. So kind of a lot of blows coming to John's team all at once. And I know he doesn't feel happy about it, but he's doing what he can. And I still expect him to compete and probably make the playoffs because that's what John does. And the number 1 quarterback of the year so far is Russell Wilson, man. Let Russ cook, because when he does, He scores over 30 points a game, 159 points through 5 weeks. And that's probably why Jason's number 4 in scoring, and it would be in the playoffs right now if the season ended. His quarterback that he drafted in the second round after Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. So all the quarterbacks that got taken high, you know, they're doing well right now. You know, Lamar Jackson aside, but he's doing okay too. So let's take a look at the wide receivers really quick. Number 5 wide receiver on the year, Tyreek Hill. So that Tyreek Hill, Russell Wilson combo for Jason doing it, 71 points. So you see the drop off here. The quarterbacks I'm talking about, they're 150, 151, 159. These wide receivers are 71, 77. So while they're important, man, having one of those top level quarterbacks that's scoring twice as many points as the top receivers, that's so helpful to have. And that's why you find quarterbacks drafted high in our league, when in other leagues, quarterbacks don't get drafted high. That's just the nature of our league, the way that the super flex and the dynamic scoring that they can have, they can really blow up in our league. So having 2 of those top quarterbacks, your team would be pretty set right now. Anyway, back to the receivers. Number 5 was Tyreek Hill. Number 4, DeAndre Hopkins, also at 71 points. Samantha's big pick. Samantha took DeAndre Hopkins in the second round, but he lasted to the end of the second. In many years, DeAndre Hopkins would not last to the end of the second, but this year he did because the question marks, you know, the new trade, all the other receivers on the team, just kind of, you know, we expect him to be good, but it's a new atmosphere, but he's come right out and been an awesome.
Murray looking deep for DeAndre Hopkins on the sideline, and DeAndre Hopkins adjusting his body to make the catch, and a first down at the New York 44, a pickup of 45. You know,
top 4 receiver. Number 3 is Adam Thielen. So, wow. So Jason's got that Russell Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Adam Thielen trio going on right now. Whew. 77 points. Adam Thielen's the number 3 receiver in our league. Number 2, Calvin Ridley. Baker's big Atlanta homer pick. He always makes a pick from the city he lives in because, one, I think it's that he likes to, you know, have a team player on his team that he can follow with the local sports team. And 2, he listens to local sports radio and hears like actual inside information on these players that we don't hear. And so he knows which Falcons players or which Browns players are going to be good on a given year. And this year he knew Calvin Ridley was going to be good. And here he is, the number 2 receiver in the league, even with putting up, I think he had a goose egg, didn't he? Yeah, he had a goose egg in week 4 against Green Bay. That game was just an anomaly. He was kind of hurt, but he hasn't been under 100 yards in a game. Outside of that, he has 4 touchdowns. So Calvin Ridley looking great. And number 1, man, this is John's guy. You try to approach John for a trade for DK Metcalf, it'll never happen. You could offer him the top quarterback and he'll say no. He loves DK Metcalf. He has him in Dynasty League and here in the Scully's League. And he's the number 1 receiver. 80 points. So that's what? 80 divided by 5. That's 18 points a game. No, 16 points a game. I apologize. 16 points a game. That's pretty good. So he's getting 16 a game from DK. He needs that to keep happening if this is going to be, you know, a John Strong year. He needs his other players that are still there to step up, and DK is one of them that can in a big way. The running back position, the number 5 running back right now is another Jason player. Wow. Jason's that star owner right now with all these top 5 players. Chris Carson, the number 5 running back, 77 points. And wow, he just, I guess, completes that quartet of Chris Carson, Adam Thielen, Tyreek Hill, and Russell Wilson. That Russell Wilson, Chris Carson combo has been great with DK Metcalf. Man, that whole Seahawks offense is just cooking. Number 4 running back in the league is Baker's Zeke Elliott. He has been getting fed this year. 84 points. He's got 5 touchdowns. He's got one in the air. I think he's the number 3 or number 4. I think he's he's up in like the top 5 or 6 in rushing yards, I believe. I can probably just sort that really quick. Yeah, Zeke is number 7 in rushing yards this year, and he's been super solid. He's done what Baker's needed him to do. He was the number 4 overall pick and the number 2 running back drafted. So, it's hard to get your number 2 running back or the number 2 running back drafted to actually perform to the number 2 spot. And he's come really close, number 4. So doing everything you can ask of him. Number 3 is Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has 91 points through 5 weeks. Samantha got Aaron Jones at the front of the 3rd round. And here he is, top 3 running back in the league. Just looking really quick, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He was a 13th running back selected. So great value for Samantha. Awesome pick. Number 2 running back, Ryan Jensen, man. Dalvin Cook, 105 points through 5 weeks. And he was out of most of the game last week. So huge points. If he kept going on all cylinders all year and didn't have this groin injury he's dealing with now, he maybe could turn into one of those players who's up there scoring with some of the top quarterbacks. But it's not going to happen. He's going to slow down for a couple of weeks. So he's definitely going to be out this week. And then the Vikings have a bye. So we'll see what happens after that. But, he was taken number 10 overall, and he was the 6th running back taken, getting awesome points from that position. I was really hoping that Dalvin Cook was going to last to me at the number 12 spot. And of course he didn't. That would have been crazy, but thought it might happen. It didn't. And Jensen's definitely reaping the rewards of that great pick.
Mania, that's a wild one. Dalvin Cook, he's going to get a first down, and Dalvin Cook pushes his way toward the end zone.
Number 1 running back, though, in the league was selected 1 spot after him and 1 spot before my pick. Becca, at the 11th spot in the first round, took Alvin Kamara, who is the number 1 running back in the league, 114 points through 5 weeks. That's 23 points a game from your lead back. That's incredible. Kamara has had games like 18, 29, 35, 18, and 12. Solid. Michael Thomas being out has probably helped contribute to him getting a lot of touches. But he hasn't necessarily had a ton of rushes. Latavius Murray has still been contributing a lot in the rushing game. So we'll see. Maybe I don't know. Sean Payton he doesn't seem as smart as everybody used to say he was, or still says he is. I don't know. I think he should be being used more than he is, but he's the number 1 running back in our league. And then I'm going to quickly breeze through the top 5 of the other positions. Top 5 tight ends. Number 5 right now is Kyle's Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki is a number 5 tight end in the league right now. 42 points. That's about 8 points a game. So it only takes 8 points a game to be a top 5 tight end. The tight end game, everybody thought preseason that this might be a comeback year for the tight end position, that there's so many good, young, hungry tight ends that position is going to go off this year. And didn't happen. The number 4 tight end in our league right now is Robert Tonyan, the Green Bay Packers tight end that Stacy paid up for and got. She paid 20 something in Fab for him. I had a 20 something dollar bid out for him as well and got outbid by just a couple of dollars by Stacy. Was really bummed out because I needed that backup tight end. Would have been great to have for this trade I just made. But anyway, he has scored a touchdown in his last 3 games, and he had 3 last week. 3 touchdowns and 98 yards on 6 catches. I mean, huge breakout game.
Blitz picked up. Rodgers has his man, the tight end, Tanyan for the touchdown. Rodgers throwing, and it's caught. Touchdown. Robert Tanyan again. Atlanta rushing for. Time for Rodgers to float one. Easy catch and touchdown.
It wasn't until last week we all found out he's like buds with George Kittle. I guess if we had known that, maybe one of us would have picked him up before then. I mean, if you're friends with George Kittle, you're obviously going to be great, right? The number 3 tight end in the league right now is Mark Andrews, who just got traded. But there he is, the number 3 tight end in the league, 51 points through 5 weeks. That's over 10 points a game. So the top 3 tight ends are still giving you 10 plus points a game. That's what you expect from a top tight end. If you drafted a tight end high, I took Mark Andrews. I believe I got him in the 6th round. You guys all let him drop way too far, you sillies. But that's what you expect if you take a top tight end, is that you get 10 or more points from him every week. So Ryan Jensen's got that now. A solid go-to tight end. He's pretty much the number 1 target. I mean, Hollywood Brown in Baltimore is the number 1 target, probably technically. But Mark Andrews seems to be kind of the safety net, the most reliable guy, the go-to guy when Lamar is in trouble, when he needs something safe to do. He's a red zone target. So it's that offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders this year in the passing game, but he's still scoring a lot, and there's only room to grow. Lamar Jackson has not passed for many yards, and he's still scoring a lot. So if he starts passing for more yards, he's going to score even more. Number 2 tight end in the league, a surprise to many, I'm sure, but man, I believed in this guy, and he's doing it. Jonnu Smith, the number 2 tight end in our league, 53 points through 5 weeks. And that's with them only playing 4 games through 5 weeks. Jonnu Smith has 5 touchdowns in 4 games. He has 9 points, 21 points, 6 points, and 16 points. 221 yards, 27 targets, 18 catches, 5 touchdowns. He's getting a touchdown on like more than 20% of his targets, or 20% of his catches. So incredible. Number 1 tight end in the league, no surprise. He was the number 1 tight end drafted. Travis Kelce. Baker has got 60 points out of Travis Kelce this year. That's 12 points a game. 11, 15, 8, 17. Solid, man. Exactly what you're hoping to get. Yeah, I mean, you're hoping for a couple of big breakout games. That 17-point last week against Las Vegas was a good one. But you got to be happy with what he's done this year if you're Baker. So that's the top 5 there. Mike Gesicki, Robert Tanyan, Mark Andrews, Jonnu Smith. Man, Jonnu Smith, if we did it per game, he would be number 1 by far. And Travis Kelce, number 1. And then really quick, defenses, top 5 defenses this year. Pittsburgh defense, number 5. Samantha has them right now, 38 points. Los Angeles Rams, Kyle's rostering them right now, 44 points. Tampa Bay defense, Corey has them, 45 points. And then there's a big jump. So there's kind of 2 defenses right now that are killing it in this league. Baltimore's defense, who Rudy has, 65 points. And the Indianapolis defense on my team, 71 points. Wow, I didn't even realize that they were the number 1. So that's like 14 points a game from the Indy defense. That's great. And then the top 5 kickers, we've got Justin Tucker at number 5. That's Ryan Jensen's kicker. Randy Bullock, who is a free agent right now, number 4. Oh, these guys are all tied for 3rd place. Justin Tucker, Randy Bullock, and Al's kicker, Will Lutz, who's on bye this week. And so Al had to get another kicker. He has Jason Sanders, who's the number 1 kicker, 50 points, 10 points a week. Damn. And Rodrigo Blankenship, Kyle's kicker, the goggle master, 47 points. It's called him the Goggle Master. I don't know. I don't think that name's gonna stick. So there you are. There's the top 5 at every position. If you heard your name a lot, then you're probably doing pretty good. If you didn't hear your name very much, then you're probably not doing very good. That's kind of how it works. It's a good gauge to look at those top players at each position and see, like, man, yeah, if your team has a number of those players on your team, then you're probably doing pretty good. So that was a recap of everything exciting and fun that's happened over the last many weeks. Free agent bidding has been great. I guess I just want to give a little message about spend your fab dollars. Samantha, you still haven't spent a fab dollar. If there's a player that you really want to pick up, get a bid in on Tuesday night and throw in some money on that player, because you got way more money than all of us. I'm at the bottom. I have 18 fab dollars left because I have wasted all of mine. Every fab dollar that I've spent has been on a player that has not done anything for my team. That is not how you want to do it. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Week 6 is going to be exciting. I'm not going to recap it, but there's some teams projected to score pretty high this week and some teams projected to score pretty low this week. So we'll see how it goes. There aren't any postponed games, so no backups to worry about. So it's just some football to watch, I hope. Hope you stuck around for the whole thing and hope you enjoyed the episode. This kind of recap of the season so far and kind of getting us to where we're at now. I'm going to try to get another episode out next week and actually do a weekly episode where I recap the previous week's, action and talk about the upcoming week. But for now, I just wanted to get us all recapped and all caught up. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys next time.